Product provided by Nintendo. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is available for all to play and enjoy, and I for one have definitely had my fair share of enjoyment. I had to peel myself away from it just to make this video. It definitely holds true to the trend that, in my opinion, is Super Smash Bros. Always gets better with each iteration. Except for maybe Brawl. Brawl is a weird point, but we'll get to that in a different video. It does so much to improve upon the last game, and if sales and critical reception are any indication, I'm not alone in thinking that. At the time of making this video, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has already set sales records both in UK and in Japan. Critically, it's ranked highest amongst the rest of the franchise, although to be fair, there isn't much of a gap post 64. In no way does all that mean it's perfect. There's a lot to love here, but there's a lot of stuff in this game that leaves me scratching my head. Smash Bros. Ultimate's marketing campaign was all about the vast lineup of characters to choose from, whether it be newbies like Ridley, Simon Belmont, or Inkling, returning veterans like Ice Climbers, Wolf, or Pichu, or if it's the mainstays like Mario, Link, and Pikachu. There's bound to be at least one that you like from this cast of characters. Inkling in particular is a character that I've gravitated towards and is actually the first character that I could ever really bestow with the title of my main. As far as the returning characters go, I've wanted Pokemon Trainer back since Smash 4. Charizard is my favorite Pokemon and everything, but I gotta say, other than Pikachu, I don't think any other character could really represent Pokemon as a franchise as well as Pokemon Trainer does. And as far as veterans go, I've jumped around between Boy Zelda and Fox McCloud since the original Smash, but like I said when I mentioned Inkling, I didn't really bother to main anyone before this game, so those characters never really stuck for me. I'm veering away from my point here. The character selection in this game is phenomenal, and we're not even finished yet. We still have Piranha Plant, Joker, and 4 other DLC fighters to look forward to. My problem with Smash Bros. Ultimate in the realm of characters though is the grind to unlock them all. It's not an arduous or even time-consuming thing to do, it just feels like a chore for the sake of the dopamine hits some people get when they see those challenger approaching and joins the battle splash screens. Before the game came out, I was skeptical of the value of character unlocks, and after having unlocked every character, I still feel that way. Even the game itself acknowledges the idea that you can't truly start playing the game until you have the full roster. Stages are fully unlocked from the start, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on the pseudo achievement of playing the game long enough for the game to deem that I earned the right to experience more of it. In the future, I'd love to be given the option to unlock the full roster in an instant rather than being forced to do a bunch of tedious things to unlock them relatively slowly. Give me a cheat code or an option to turn on in the menu or something. This way, the people that want to work for their characters can still have that. I rather have access to all of the fighters so I can dive into ones I plan to master as well as pit them against the rest of the roster to see what my options are. If you're playing locally, this is less of a problem as you get character unlocks pretty frequently there, but for players like myself that primarily play online or even that play locally with friends but for small windows of time, it's a lot more of a deliberate grind to get who we want since online matches don't trigger new challenges, and when you meet up with friends every once in a while, nobody wants to sit around and wait to unlock characters. Of course, this is a nitpick. The roster is a strong contributor to my love for this game. That's only a piece of the puzzle though. Another aspect of the Super Smash Bros. Series that's core to the experience is the unique mechanics. Well, they were unique until everybody stole them because they're so good. Before the release of this game, well actually only before the full reveal of this game, I was skeptical as to whether or not the game would do enough to make us feel like the game was truly a new game. Every Smash Bros. Before then had very unique, distinct character models. This CGI render looked very similar to the ones we got with Smash Wii U. Luckily, we later got to see the game in action and were informed of the faster pace, the changes to mechanics like dodging, shielding, and even final smashes. In practice, the amount of time and effort that went into Smash Ultimate by its dev team is pretty clear. The game is more aggressive than Smash 4, but less so than Melee, which in my opinion is a great mix, especially when considering the easy to learn, difficult to master approach that Sakurai is known for and has been since the early days of Kirby. variety. In my opinion, perfect shielding feels more skill-based than it did before. Short hops are easier to pull off. The nerf to rolling and air dodging is a great improvement, as it makes a lot less people likely to default to using them as their movement option of choice. The reintroduction of directional air dodging gives a fair amount of fighters a better chance at recovering to the stage, and so much more that I couldn't possibly explore in the first few days of Smash Bros being available. My first impression of online play on a practical level is that it is very smooth. Even the actual act of getting online is night and day compared to Smash Bros 4. Rather than requiring a lengthy connecting process like in Smash Bros Brawl and Smash 4, Smash Ultimate seems to be almost always online, and in times where it does need to connect, it takes little to no time to do so. As far as the matches themselves are concerned, I have only had a handful of laggy matches in my time playing both with randoms and next to none when playing with friends. It's also easy to find opponents, but that's to be expected with a holiday blockbuster like this. That said, that's not necessarily a good thing all of the time, given the way that Smash Ultimate handles matchmaking. When I think of the experience of online play, the much improved connectivity is honestly the only good thing about it. Something that every Smash Bros fan should know is it's very important to have the power of choice. The game as a whole has so many ways to play, and the community at large has so many different preferences, whether that be for casual play, competitive play, or somewhere in between, because the local play options have always been very accommodating of that. There's enough controllable variables to craft the experience you want to have. Online, on the other hand, is very limited. There are 4 different selectable modes, but you really only have 2 options like quick play, background matchmaking, and elite smash, options that can all be summed up as the modes that let the game decide how you play with light suggestions on the player's side. You're given the option to set preferred rules, but in my experience, it doesn't seem like the game tries at all to come to an agreeable happy medium. I can't imagine a world where someone that set their preferred choices to 1-on-1, no items on Omega or Battlefield stages would want to play an items on 4-player team match on Rainbow Cruise or whatever. It just doesn't add up. You're not even given the option to decline joining matches that don't match or even closely match your preferred settings. You're automatically dumped into whatever they choose to put you in. The only way to get out of this without being penalized is to close the game before the match starts. That's not okay. I really hope they change that. But there is a mode that gives you more control, being Battle Arena, where you can craft matches to your liking, but with a ton of concessions and weird restrictions. You can't choose to have matches sans time limit. You can only let 6 people in a room at once. You have to create entirely new rooms when you want to change the rules. And when you do that, you're always prompted to save that rule set. Something that can get annoying because not every rule set is something that you'd like to keep saved. Given the choice to opt in rather than forcing to opt out is always preferable in my opinion. And I don't see any justifiable reason for the options online to be no different than the ones that are available locally. Every other major Nintendo Switch multiplayer release affords more control than this. Why can't I do Squad Strike or tournaments online? Mario Kart could even do it in the Wii U days. Mario Tennis Aces has the option to do the same. Why can't I do team matches against random players with a friend online? That's been a confusing omission since Brawl. A lot of players shrug this off as Nintendo just being bad at online play, but in a world where so many Nintendo games do this better, I hope Smash Ultimate can also strive to be more through future updates. To be fair, Mario Tennis Aces didn't have a lot of the online options it does now at launch. Even ARMS and Splatoon 2 have changed quite a bit since their respective launches, so we can all be hopeful that Smash Bros Ultimate will follow suit. Single player content has made quite the recovery since the last go around, like an improved classic mode with custom crafted campaigns that fit the individual fighter you're using, or World of Light with its crazy expansive 20-hour long campaign with even more content stuffed in to complete when you finish the main story. Single player content has also made some choices that are a bit of a bummer, like no break the targets, home run bet contests, or events, but even with those missing modes, I would say that Smash Ultimate single player content is amongst the best in the franchise. I do wish World of Light had a co-op option like Subspace Emissary did, but in the way that it exists now, it's a cool single player experience, so I'm alright with it not being co-op. I know it sounds like there's a lot I don't like about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but that's only because it's a lot easier to quantify those things. The whole of the experience is just as good as it's always been, better even. My only real big problem with the game is the lack of online options, and I hope they'll rectify that in the future. Outside of that and those other nitpicks, after spending a fair amount of time with the game, I can comfortably say that it is my favorite Smash Bros. To date. But those are my thoughts. What do you think about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? For the comment challenge, what is your favorite change to the game? Whether that be a new character, a new mode, a different mechanic, and also, what is your least favorite? If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you clicking like, and if you didn't like the video, disliking is cool too. If you really liked the video, share it with a friend who also is really into Smash Bros. And is looking for somebody different to talk it out with. Consider becoming a channel member for priority in the inevitable Smash Bros. Streams when we play with the community. Join our Discord and follow us on social media to find out when those will be, but most importantly, subscribe and ring the bell for more videos like this every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. New streams every Wednesday. Okay, that's it for me. See you next week.